of fencing and swordsmanship played an important role in 18th century life. Now, before beginning any fencing exercise, it is essential to take some safety precautions. When engaged in a thrust fencing exercise, you should always wear a high collar. A high collar to protect your throat. When using sharps, you should wear ear protection to protect the cartilage of your ears, and it is also essential to wear safety goggles for eye protection and, in the case of Manchur fencing, nose protection. You will note that I have not taken any of these safety precautions for the purposes of this demonstration, because I'm awesome like that, and you should not follow my example. Now, lesson 1.
Okay. So we're going to start with parries, which are simple because they're needed. So put up your sword. So there's two major parries, right? There's parry 4, which goes like that. There's parry 6, which goes like that. The whole deal with a parry is it's your attempt to push a person's blade out of the way and make it easier for you to do a riposte. A riposte is when you actually attack back. So,
an example. I will now proceed to attack the enemy.
4, attack. That's a 4 riposte. So go. 6, riposte. Same idea.
It's advisable to practice these many times.
So, same concept. Go. And again. Alright. Continue.
And another very important step, the disengage. The disengage is essentially a small circular movement with your sword. So if your sword is locked with your opponent's sword, you will make a small movement to get around it, and then you can riposte. Example.
Here you go. Alright, again. Again. Alright, so essentially two simple things. The parries, attack. Again. And then the riposte. Alright, so that's easy. So now you can look like you're actually somewhat professional. These are the sort of things that they would talk about during this time period. These are the sort of moves that you would learn if you were a colonial soldier. Now tell us about when you would use swordsmanship in the colonial era.
Yes, the colonial era is a very interesting period in the history of fencing and swordsmanship. It's somewhat placed between the unregulated duel, or the brawl, as I like to call it, and the regulated duel, or the Manchur.
Tell me why swordsmanship is important, Evan. What's important about swordsmanship?
Because if you don't know it, you're likely to get killed.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to get killed, right?
Now, the French small sword began to evolve around this time. The small sword...
Okay, so a bunch of facts. Tell me about why it's important. What are people who don't necessarily fight going to use it for? Because let's be honest, you can't take a sword and put it in an animal, right? That's just not going to work. Animals are too fat.
Fencing is...
Hey! He is fat.
Fencing in the 18th century was... Fencing in the 18th century...
What? Tell me about it. Okay, how about this? So let's say you're a farmer, alright? And you have to talk to somebody about fencing. You have some knowledge about fencing. How can we make like a little skit sort of do?
How would a farmer would know?
Alright, so I'm going to be a farmer and you're going to be a guy with a sword, right? So let's say you're a little kid, right? And you know all about swords. You're messing around with your parents and because kids like swords, right? Little boys like swords.
Jack, this is the most unrealistic scenario.
It's realistic. If you're talking to a guy who has a sword, right? He's a little kid.
Right.
How do you incorporate that into your knowledge? Everyone knows about fencing, right? So if I'm a farmer, I can still go up to you and be like, oh, let's do this. I note that you have a sword by your side.
Yes, I do. Yes, little child, I have a sword by my side.
Yes, you do. Now, did you know that there are multiple parries that you can use for that sword? Do you understand the ways of sword?
Of course.
Fight me.
Who's the kid here?
You are. Fight me. So then you can engage in conversation, mess around with the kids, sword fight, have your fun, and at least now they have a greater understanding of the things that at least the nobility would be able to do at that time.
Yes, that's very much true. And everything that he has said is true. In fact, fact, Jack is very knowledgeable about fencing, and he has given us a very good description of some things that would be useful. And I highly recommend listening to what he said. And,
now Abe is
kind
going
of
to give you
cloudy
an introduction of some fencing lessons. Abe, you're going to fence some heaven, and we're going to have some fun with this.
Whoa, wait, what?
You guys are going to fence each other.
Those of you who are interested in learning historical fencing techniques will find this little exercise useful. I'm going to show how fencing is taught. Now, we'll run through this exercise at quarter speed, half speed, and finally at full speed. So here we go. Mr.
You can call him Chumpy.
Chumpy.
This pronounced Chompei.
Okay, it's Chumpei and Wing Wang.
Please observe as I instruct Mr. Chumpei in the art of swordsmanship.
Wing Wang Chumpei.
Mr. Chumpei will now proceed to perform a simple thrust attack on me.
Just.
And I parried that. Now, notice when I parried it, again, that I end up catching his blade on my knuckle guard,
Your
or
cuff.
Glocken, as we would call it in German, or bell.
The bell.
Now, I'll do it the other way. Go ahead. And here comes. Do be very gentle when, especially with the thrust maneuvers. Thrust fencing is kind of, it started to fall out of use in polite society because of the potential for serious injuries, puncturing the lung and all that. But we don't care too much.
So tell us about the different types of swords, the 3 types that exist nowadays, and how they can be related to Revolutionary era fencing.
Now, those of you who are familiar with modern fencing will be familiar, of course, with the sword type épée, saber, and foil. The first of which being a cutting type sword.
Let's show them what saber. Just so saber, you're going to be going like this because the whole concept behind saber is hitting them with the side of the sword. You can do that. So saber, I can whack him like that. I can whack him like that. I can whack him like that, and it counts. In foil and épée, you have to hit with a point, only the point. In épée, you can hit anywhere on the body. In foil, you can only hit the hinge. Only. No arms, no nothing.
Now, this system is derived from the classical fencing that evolved in the 19th century.
Alright, okay. So, final thing. Let's go over everything that we learned. First thing, the parries. Bring your sword up. Alright, parry 4. Parry 6. Disengage. Okay? Let's do the parry 6 again, actually, because they didn't do it. Parry 6. Thrusting. You just attack. There's saber. There's foil. And there's épée. Okay? The whole idea behind a skip. You don't need to know that much behind the skip, but of course you have to have this knowledge of fencing in order to use it everywhere that you go. So you can always have a conversation. Somebody has a sword, someone has a stick, someone has anything, and you can turn it into a conversation about fencing. Oh, that's interesting. Do you fence? Because of course I learned that at my court or wherever you are. Fencing is everywhere in the day-to-day lives of these countrymen. Elitists, of course, and then day-to-day you're going to find children running around with sticks, play fencing. It's an existing part of culture and an existing part of just the time period that we are in.
Remember, 4 important things.
Okay, Chumpy.
Safety, the type of sword. 5 important. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects this. No, yeah. So remember all the things we taught you about. It's very important. Fencing is great. And be ready for the next episode. Goodbye. Oh, and say hi to our camera person, Mel.
No.
Mel! Okay, Mel is a little shy, but she's great, and she's been doing all the filming. So, thank you, Mel. And thank you, everybody. Bye.
This has been Lesson 1, the Jarvis Mays Classical Enlightenment Fencing course.
Okay, of course. And the last thing, don't forget Chompei. So say hi, Chompei.
Chompei!
Okay, last thing is salute. This was the thing of honor that you would do at the end, and we're going to do it for you guys. So, saluting is as simple as down, over, over. Boom, boom, boom. Respect for the fact that you are fighting with your sword. Thank you.
It's simply present arms and